Right now, police and the Joburg Metro have ramped up their presence in Alexandra. This follows brewing tension between foreign nationals and locals. A group of vigilantes under the banner Alex Dudula movement demonstrated on the streets, burning tires and blocking roads. They want South Africans to be given preference over any job opportunity in the area. We're now joined by Vlok, a conflict negotiator, on what can be done to quell the tensions in Alexandra. But not only there, Mr. Vlok, thank you very much for your time here on All Angles. It's not only in Alexandra, is it? We've seen this coming up since around January this year. It started in Soweto, moved to areas such as the Johannesburg CBD, and now in Alexandra. This, of course, is very worrying, especially for the foreign nationals living here, looking at the history that we have with xenophobic attacks in our country.
Hi, Masego. Yeah, it's a crisis in the making, and we all seem to be watching it develop right in front of our eyes. And by now, it's certainly nationwide. It just seems more active in certain areas at this stage.
So what do we do then to make sure that we dissolve the conflict and make sure that the tensions don't flare up? I mean, some of these people are asking that South Africans are given first preference. Maybe there should be a quota. I don't know. Maybe businesses should be given a quota as to how many South Africans they should hire versus how many foreign nationals they can hire.
Those are all, in my view, those are all little small remedies that we can and should implement, but this is a much bigger problem. It needs a macro approach. It needs a macro solution. This is essentially a failure of leadership in the wide sense of the word, and it needs to be fixed at that level. We can all do a lot, of course, but this is essentially a leadership failure. These are people who feel disenfranchised, disempowered, who feel that they've reached the end of the day, the end of the line. They feel they have no real options left. You know, it's easy and tempting to criticize them and to vilify South Africans who are acting this way. And as dangerous as this process is, and as much as I would like it to stop, you know, we should be very cautious in criticizing them and calling them names. These are people who are facing the brunt of unemployment, of poverty, of inequality, and somewhere, if according to them they live in a dysfunctional society, a society that ignores them effectively for years, then this is what's going to happen. It's pretty inevitable. The conflict, the situation can certainly still be salvaged. We can save the rather horrendous consequences, some of which we've seen in this country in years gone by. We can still save this, but certainly it's very late in the day.
How do we save it, Mr. Vlok? I mean, if you look at a situation, for instance, around late last year or in the middle of last year, but definitely the last 6 months of 2021, we saw those foreign nationals in Durban, in KZN, you know, taking the law into their own hands as well to protect themselves from being attacked. And, you know, you saw taxis being burnt. You saw people walk around with huge guns. So at the end of the day, you know, as South Africans do this, there will be some type of resistance from foreign nationals who are clearly just trying to protect themselves.
Masego, this is at a certain level, of course, it's, you know, it's a political problem, and some of the answers seem to suggest themselves. You know, we need to fix unemployment, we need to fix everything that the people are complaining about. If everyone had a job, if we didn't have the unemployment issues that we had, we wouldn't be having this discussion. This type of intervention and Operation Dudula wouldn't be necessary. So at a certain level, to answer your question, we need to, of course, we need to fix those macro problems. We need to fix unemployment. We need to fix inequality. But we've run out of time. We don't have time for that. This is a fast developing crisis on the ground, and there we're going to need a short-term solution, and that, I fear, is going to require politicians to work together and to get involved right now and to build a conflict management and a conflict resolution strategy that works, we don't have time. We don't have the time necessary to fix the economy. We need to meet with people, and in that sense, even though it's late in the day, we have, or leaders have the benefit of some of these events, Operation Dudula, for example, crystallizing the people's attention. You already have community leaders that you could speak to. And not just speaking to as in appeasing and so trying to put cream on the wound, but to really fix, to give people hope, to convince them and inspire them that what they're busy with, to walk through the streets and to close people's shops, that's not necessary. And not by way of political speeches and not by way of empty promises, by way of real solutions for these people. This is going to get worse, and it's not going to stop unless these people have hope, unless our people have hope, and unless they can start believing in the system helping them, and not, as is the perception, being for the other, the migrant.
So this is in government's hands then. I mean, if you look at things such as load shedding and other problems that we face in our country that are squarely on government's hands, that's what's also probably causing business not to want to come here or to invest more little than they used to. And therefore it means very little jobs are created, even by business.
Quite right. And that is the commercial side of where, the absolutely negative results we're seeing for South Africans. And here's the irony. We're trying to address a problem as South Africans. We tell ourselves, we convince ourselves that this is to help South Africans, but in the process, we're making it worse for South Africans. We need to be concerned about this. Even if you feel absolutely have no concerns about the migrants, we need to stop this. We need to address this constructively and permanently for South Africans. I'm not carrying a flag for migrants. I'm saying that as South Africans, this is going to hurt us if it continues along the trajectory that it is. But we're focusing on government, and that certainly is the primary solution here and the urgent solution here. But we could all play a role. The way we conduct ourselves, where we buy things, who we support, the things we say on social media. That is all feeding into this. We're all playing with fire here, and we've. The irony is we've seen the results of this. We've lived through some of this in small, isolated instances.
Exactly.
I have a sense that that we're playing with a much bigger fire here. This has all the potential of being uglier.
Exactly.
It feels unreal because, and let's look at last July in our country. Look at the potential for violence here. And we can't sit back and leave it to someone else. And I think the politicians, I'm worried, and I hope I'm wrong, but I think that some of the politicians are indeed sitting back. Why are people allowed to go around and inspect migrant shops and close their shops? Is that an inability to stop them, or is it a setback and derive the benefits?
Very
of
important.
This?
Very important point and question. Thank you very much, Mr. Andre Vlok, a conflict negotiator. Thank you for spending a little bit of time with us here on All Angles.